I call this meeting of the North Adams City Council to order. It is February 10th, 2026, 7 p.m. This meeting can be viewed live on Northern Berkshire Community Television Station, channel 1303, and will be posted to their website as soon as possible. We will also be live streaming on YouTube at youtube.com/NorthAdams. Just click on the live link and then the 2026.02.10 council meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blackmer,
Here.
Bona,
Here.
Green,
Here.
Fitch,
Here.
McDonald,
Here.
McCarron,
Here.
Sapienza,
Here.
Zavatsky,
Here.
Shade,
Present.
9 present.
We have a quorum. Okay. If everyone could stand for a moment of silent remembrance. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just as a reminder, the microphones are for people at home, so please project your voices in the room. Approval of minutes. First is January 13, 2026, City Council meeting. Minutes, those were sent out today. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
This is Counselor Zavatsky.
Yes.
On page 10, I just noticed that two of the last names are misspelled. So a motion to amend Jesus Laya should be Jesus Leyva, Leyva. And then Paul Moriarty should be Moriarty, Moriarty.
Okay, we have a motion to correct spelling of last names on page 10 for Jesus Leyva and Paul Moriarty.
Second.
Second.
We have a second from Councilor Fitch. Is there any discussion? This will be a roll call vote on the amendment.
Blackmer,
Yes.
Bona,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Fitch,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Sapienza,
Yes.
Zavatsky,
Yes.
Shade.
Yes. 9 yeas, the amendment passes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote to approve the minutes.
Blackmer,
Yes.
Bona,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Fitch,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Sapienza,
Yes.
Zavatsky,
Yes.
Shade.
Yes. 9 yeas, the motion passes. Next is the minutes from January 27th, 2026, City Council minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote.
Blackmer,
Yes.
Bona,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Fitch,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Sapienza,
Yes.
Zavatsky,
Yes.
Shade.
Yes.
9 years.
9 yeas, the motion passes. Hearing of visitors on agenda items. This is an opportunity for the public to speak to the council for 2 minutes regarding items listed on the agenda. As a reminder, the clock will start, it'll beep, it'll tell you and count you in, and then you can begin. Also, it'll beep at you again when your time is up. I ask that all parties refrain from personal attacks as a courtesy. Is there anyone who would like to speak to items on the agenda? Going once, going twice. Okay, moving on. Without objection, I'd like to move council item 12,561 to the front of the agenda. Communication number 11 from Mayor Jennifer A. Maxey, presenting a proclamation in support of the American Heart Month Congenital Heart Defect Awareness. No objections? Mayor, would you like to speak?
Sure, thank you, President Shade. I am dedicating this proclamation to my little friend Natalie, who's over in the corner. She's my assistant Lindsay's daughter. And to know Natalie, she's a very excitable, great young little girl, but she struggles with heart disease. And so this proclamation is in honor of Nat and her struggle, but her strength to persevere. So I proclaim February 2026 is Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Month. Whereas congenital heart defect is a structural difference in your heart present at birth, affecting how heart forms or functions, and often requiring specialized and ongoing medical care throughout a person's life. And whereas the heart is a powerful symbol of life, strength, and resilience, and for individuals living with this disease, it represents extraordinary courage and perseverance. And congenital heart disease are the most common type of birth defect affecting children and adults and touching their lives of families, caregivers, and communities across the United States as well as within the city of North Adams. Whereas February is nationally recognized as Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Month, it's a time to honor those living with this disease and to recognize the dedication of their families, healthcare professionals, researchers, and the individual themselves. I now, therefore, Jennifer A. Maxey, am proud to proclaim February 2026 in honor of my friend Natalie as she fights this courageous disease. Nat, you want to come see me? How about I got a bear for you? How about a bear? No? She usually likes me.
She does. She's very protective.
We'll give this to all right, great job. Great job. I want my boots back then. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Okay, now back to old business. We have council item 12,541, a communication from Councilor Andrew J. Fitch requesting time to discuss opportunities to improve communications to better meet the needs of the community. Refer to general government at the meeting of 11/12/2025 with a return date of 2/10/2026. Councilor Fitch is looking for an update from the administration, is that correct?
Actually, no, from the General Government Committee. So
Okay.
the update is there was there was going to be a General Government Committee meeting, but it did have to be canceled, I believe. So I would move to refer this to the second meeting of February. Does that sound all right, Councilor Bona?
Our goal is to meet next Tuesday.
It is.
So, yep.
Well, wonderful. I will move to refer this to, to postpone this to the second meeting of February. I believe that's the 24th.
It is.
Okay. We have a motion to postpone to the second meeting of February. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote.
Blackmer,
Yes.
Bona,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Fitch,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Sapienza,
Yes.
Zavatsky,
Yes.
Shade,
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the motion passes. Next, we have council item 12,556, A communication from Counselor Marie McCarron requesting time for representatives from the C4 Innovations to provide a presentation on SBIRT, screening, brief, intervention, and referral to treatment, and Project AMP, implementation at Drury High School, postponed from the meeting of 1/27/26. Counselor McCarron, would you like to speak before we turn it over?
Yes, thank you, President Shade. I'd like to introduce Josh Valiers tonight. He's here this evening to speak to us about the work that he does in the North Adams Public Schools. Josh works at C4 Innovations. It's an organization focused on providing equitable and compassionate support to individuals and communities. Through this partnership, Josh provides non-clinical support to students, helping them navigate challenges such as mental health concerns, substance abuse, and housing instability. So after having a few conversations with Josh and learning more about what he does, I felt it was important to share this work with the council. The issues he addresses are closely tied to youth's well-being, public health, and community safety. His role allows students to speak openly and comfortably, often addressing concerns early before they become larger issues.
To show support for this and also for sweater vests, I'm going to conclude this statement here. I also want to highlight that this program reflects something very positive happening in the North Adams Public Schools. By bringing in support like this, Drury High School is taking meaningful steps to reduce barriers to learning, support students in crisis, and strengthen connections between education, public health, and the broader community. The district recognizes how personal changes can affect learning and long-term outcomes. Josh is here tonight to explain his role in more detail and to talk about the impact this program has on our students. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Marie.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor McCarron. Thank you, Councilor Fitch, and thank you to the jury administration. I know you guys have busy nights, and you took the time out of your night to be here. I appreciate it, and all the members of the public and the City Council for hearing me out. So yeah, we're going to talk tonight a little bit about what my work at C4 Innovations, and in particular, Drury High School with the Youth Wellness Coach Initiative, and how it's going so far, and what we have to offer. If we can go to the next slide. All right. So C4 Innovations. We at C4 Innovations, or C4 for short, we're committed to advancing recovery, wellness, housing stability for people who are systemically marginalized. We're committed to reducing disparities and achieving equitable outcomes. We engage, support, and partner with service organizations, communities, and systems to develop and implement research-based and evidence-based solutions that are person-centered, recovery-oriented, and trauma-informed. You can learn more about the work that C4 does by visiting our website up there at c4innovates.com. And if you'd like to, feel free to give us a follow on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, if you're so inclined. Right. Yep. So as previously stated, I am one of 9 youth wellness coaches across the state of Massachusetts. Drury High School is one of the 2 schools that I provide services in, and is conveniently only a 7-minute drive for myself, which I sincerely appreciate first thing in the morning. So my job is to provide non-clinical behavioral health support through a variety of curriculums, which I can get into further, by strengthening protective factors, reducing risk factors, and committing to harm reduction, restorative practices, and representative services as we address substance use through our schools. And so as you can see up there, there's a wheel of all the different things that a youth wellness coach is supposed to embody and represent going into a school on a regular basis. Lived experience is a paramount piece. And yeah, we can go on further. On to the next slide, thank you. So yeah, this is a PCORI project. So the idea of the Youth Wellness Coach model, it's a grant funded through the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, the DPH, and the Bureau of Substance Abuse Services, it's BSAS. In collaboration with Mass General Hospital, C4 Innovations built a workforce of 9 youth wellness coaches across Massachusetts to implement school-based screening and brief interventions to reduce youth substance use as part of a research study through the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute, PCORI. And so the idea of the research study, it's it is complicated, it's nuanced, but at its core, there are two sets of schools involved. There's 20 of whom have a youth wellness coach, which Jury is one of them, and 20 of whom do not have a youth wellness coach. And so the goals of the study are to determine the efficacy of the youth wellness coach model in contrast to a school not having a youth wellness coach model. On the next slide, thank you. So benefits to the youth wellness coach model, we're all near age peers. We're all between the ages of 19 and 30, which is, as far as relevance goes, is so important in terms of building shared connections. We offer a powerful combination of near peer mentor, and, just being a trusted adult in the school, at a young age is really beneficial to students. And as far as lived experience goes, we're able to identify navigating behavioral health and well-being concerns. All of us have either some semblance in our past of mental health or, substance abuse lived experience. And so being able to understand, being able to activate compassionate validation to the students that we're working with is paramount. And so, it brings a shared essence of relatability. It brings shared experiences. It fosters trust and communication amongst young people. Our goal is to prioritize wellness, and it really, at the end of the day, it models leadership for young people to see other young people, and how they've navigated their pathways. And again, with navigating those pathways, understanding those support systems that exist in the school, and knowing that there is a person near age to you that, if they needed to utilize, if they needed to find the right person to talk to about a specific issue, just having that one person can make a world of difference. So as far as needs and training goes, the needs of the school, just as far as, what a youth wellness coach is really, aiming to do, we're here to help expand the school's non-clinical capacity for supporting students. So, as far as surveying goes, just being able to take the burden off of adjustment counselors and nurses within the school makes a world of difference for them. I'm sure you can attest. And so being embedded in the school community offers opportunity for youth wellness coaches to learn the school's resources, the needs, the culture, and adapt to the supportive approach, to this sort of approach, accordingly. Every school is a little different, and each brings its own little flavor that a youth wellness coach really needs to learn as they navigate through the school. And so as far as training goes, coaches are trained in multiple evidence-based frameworks to support students, such as motivational interviewing is one of the first things that you learn on the job, right? And the idea of motivational interviewing is it's a collaborative, person-centered communication style that helps people explore and resolve their ambivalence to change behaviors, right? And so focusing on their own reasons for a change within a supportive and non-judgmental atmosphere, that's what we're really hoping to implore when we speak to students. And so, we have a couple programs that I listed up there. There's the ESPER, there's Project AMP, and iDecide. And I'll have a breakdown a little bit more in a further slide, but the ESPER is basically a survey that goes out each year addressing the substance use levels within a particular school, in this case, Drury High School. Project AMP is a one-on-one mentorship program that we offer. And then iDecide is a program that was developed by MGH. It's a curriculum that's an alternative to suspension for substance use infractions. So I don't know, if a student gets in trouble for vaping, right? Vaping in school, about to get suspended, right? This is a useful opportunity to kind of address that where it is and give them a choice and what they want to do. That's an MGH program that was developed, so I'm not going to speak too much on that, but I can speak to the other programs that we have to offer as well, starting with ESPER. So ESPER is a screening, it stands for Screening, Brief Intervention, and Referral to Treatment. And so it's a way for trusted school professionals to have one-on-one conversations with students. It's a survey that's delivered to students confidentially, but more than just a tool to gain info around substance use levels in the school, it's also a Massachusetts requirement of all schools. For reference, I'll show a little bit more of what this looks like on the next page, but keep in mind that in most cases, ESPER has historically been delivered and coordinated by nurses, adjustment counselors, and additional staff. And with youth wellness coaches taking this off their plate, this frees up the clinical capacity for higher risk students. Go to and so SBIRT comes with a number of benefits. It's, it's used as a prevention strategy for youth who are not currently using substances, but it's also used as an early intervention approach for youth who report substance use and a way to connect youth to supportive resources and services, youth wellness coaches included. And so the CRAFT questionnaire, as you can see up there, is employed to gauge those substance use levels. So a lot of the times it'll start out with a question, right? Like, during the past 12 months, and how many days did you drink more than a few sips of beer, wine, or any drink containing alcohol, right? And so you're gauging the amount of substances a student will regularly use, and then we can kind of go from there. And so this page right here is the CRAFT. It stands for CAR, for relax, for alone. Keywords, and so the idea of the, CAR question at the top, when we talk about substance use levels and the quantity of usage within a given year, what that'll do is it'll propagate additional questions, as you can see up above. And so if a student answers no to all the questions, I did not drink, I did not vape, I did not smoke marijuana, right? The only thing that'll pop up is the car question. Have you ever ridden in a car that was driven by someone who was high or had been using alcohol or drugs? But if they answer yes to any of those additional substances, we have a gauge to understand a little bit more about what's going on in a given student's life, right? Do you ever use alcohol to relax or feel better about yourself or fit in, right? And so, like, if they're answering honestly, and we, hope that they do, it's confidential, we implore them to answer honestly, and whether they do or not, it's a little bit more subjective, but when they answer honestly, we can gauge a lot about a student in moving through this screening process. And so, keeping in mind, too, that, the SBIRT acronym, and reminding ourselves, too, of, like, the BI part of SBIRT, right, the brief intervention. Brief interventions can be used for students, whether they've reported substance use or not. So from a preventative standpoint, this is incredibly helpful to create an atmosphere of engagement, to learn more about, a student's interests, hobbies, and struggles, and from there to productively ensure that a student understands the risks of substance use within their own life, within their own personalized life. And so, further for students that do report substance use, that brief intervention can be segued into the RT part of SBIRT, referral to treatment, which can look, several ways, but most commonly with the referral pathway is to either an adjustment counselor or myself for Project AMP. And so Project AMP is a 4 to 6 session mentorship program that's happening at Drury. It's designed to support youth with any level of risk. It guides youth participants through a curriculum that integrates established evidence-based practices, that motivational interviewing that we talked about, peer support, and positive youth development. Mentors and youth will work together in this program to explore the youth's interests, their strengths, their goals, their social and community supports, and their perceptions around physical and mental well-being, including alcohol and drug use, stress, and related risks. So Project AMP was specifically designed by C4 Innovations to be a one-on-one mentorship program to support youth with varying levels of risk. And so, that's kind of our pride and joy that we really like to tout. It's been a great program. And so, as far as like behavioral health services and supports across multiple tiers, there are 3 tiers of support services that we offer. And again, you can see on the right-hand side some of the ones that we've already spoken about. Tier 1 is predominantly universal programming and prevention. So, when we talk about SBIRT, that's meant as like a catch-all for all students, right? And understanding exactly whether they're utilizing substances or whether they're not, being able to kind of catch them at the moment that they're at, and even evaluating just in terms of their mental health, if they might have some type of predisposition to want to use at a certain point in their future. Tier 2 is more targeted interventions, right? So the Project AMP and the I Decide. So these are students that are utilizing substances currently to some capacity, right? So it's more mild. It's more it's a moderate behavioral health needs. So with Project AMP, that really comes in handy in terms of kind of meeting a student where they're at. You know, maybe they are vaping right now, and maybe they are at a point where I might want to quit, might not. You know, like they might be contemplating it. They might not even be contemplating it. But understanding a student where they're at, where they're coming from, and where they can go can really make a difference. And so tier 3, I don't have too much to, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I don't regularly utilize tier 3 in the sense that like I'm directly intervening with intensive and individualized support systems. But what I do, the point of my position, the youth wellness coach, in Drury High School is to reduce the burden of clinical staff by absorbing those non-clinical needs and supporting the referrals and, you know, stigma reduction of tier 3 supports. You know, so just being there and available makes it a little bit easier on the adjustment counselors, right? And so that's, you know, that's part of why we do it. Thank you. And so we have some qualitative findings too from just various community partners that we've done. I'll let you sit on that for a second if you want to read that. So then we got one more here. And I really like this one too because, you know, it talks about how it's really great for their kid. It's really a great process. You know, I like the idea that it's something that a student might not otherwise have, you know, joined up, like if they didn't, you know, had that relatability element, right? And so I don't know, I just think it's a really great quote. And then as far as qualitative findings go, you know, one thing that we've really noticed is that participants felt less stressed and less anxious after utilizing Project AMP or after being enrolled in Project AMP. They developed stronger coping skills and felt more confident in their ability to handle challenges. People also reported feeling more connected to others and feeling less alone. And in addition, participants had a better understanding of the harms of nicotine. Yeah. And so as far as the vision in the future goes for the Youth Wellness Coach model, we're hoping to leverage the lessons that we learned from the PCORI pilot to sustain and expand the Youth Wellness Coach model. We're looking for more targeted expansion in additional high-needs districts, expanding the model of C4 workforce and programming implementation, but especially the evaluation of the Youth Wellness Coach model itself. The PCORI study will continue through June 2028 with plans to incorporate other funding sources to sustain the Youth Wellness Coach model. And so that's what I got for you tonight. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to let me know. And again, thank you for having me tonight. It's a great opportunity to share what I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Are there any questions before Josh steps away? I do have one.
You got one? Yep.
First, thank you for presenting this. This is a great program. Getting in there and educating students and giving them the resources they need before they get to harder things is really great. My question is, how many students have actually taken advantage of these services in this school year?
Yeah, I don't have the concrete number off the top of my head. Project AMP this year is really just starting to get rolling right now. As far as the ESPERT goes, we just wrapped up screening at the school. So, you know, as far as the survey goes, that's out of the way. And so now it frees up a little bit of my time to actively, you know, work on some of these curriculums. And IDECIDE has been going on actively throughout the year as well. There's any number of students that have been suspended for, you know, substance infractions. So being there for them and being able to address those kinds of things has been very positive for them, at least from my viewing of it.
Perfect, thank you. Counselor McDonald?
I have a few questions. I hope that's all right. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. My first question was, is this a typical program that only is utilized by the high schools, or is it utilized by elementary and middle as well?
So Project AMP as a whole, we just expanded recently into another program called Project AMP Jumpstart, which does entail the 6th and 7th grade. Last year it was part of a research study, so I'm not entirely sure where it lies this year. Again, we're just kind of just getting things off the ground where AMP is concerned right now. But for right now, Drury High School is the only place, to my knowledge, North Adams, that is using Project AMP. But there have been other organizations in different regions that I've worked. Like last year, it was at Turner's Falls. They have a community resource that they were using Project AMP for. So again, like if there's any organizations out there that want to take advantage of the service of Project AMP, somebody that, either wants to partner with C4 or again, just, understanding that, we have this kind of curriculum that, we offer online, right? And just kind of gathering those resources for them to use for the future, for their own program implementation. I'd love to see more community engagement on that end.
So it could be utilized
It
in
could
the
be.
elementary schools?
At
if
elementary
wanted
schools, not
to?
so much, mostly just
Okay.
because of the age. So right now, it's predominantly 13 and older, so elementary school wouldn't necessarily fit into that. I mean, I think it would be great to see something like that in the elementary schools, but that's not something that we're actively.
Is that for all C4?
Say
Is that for all C4 resources?
for Project AMP.
Yeah. No, just all like the resource that you guys have at C4, not just Project AMP specifically.
Yeah, so as for the programs that we offer, like again, like the iDecide is more like an MGH curriculum that they use. That's also middle school and up. I think it's 13 to 18. The ESPER is predominantly the 10th grade that we do. There are other schools in which I've done the 7th grade screen for them as well, but right now in North Adams, at least for what I screen for the 10th grade.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more?
Yep.
And then how is this requested? Can providers request that students are utilizing this, or parents? I know, like, I can imagine a teenager is a lot less likely to request it on their own.
Be surprised sometimes. No,
Absolutely.
there's any number of ways that students can get referred. We have referral flyers for faculty, for students, for parents, any of which can refer to their student if they feel they need. But also keeping in mind too that Project AMP is a strictly voluntary program.
Yeah.
So if there's if the student is not interested in doing it despite being referred, that's not something we can really compel to do. I mean, I'm happy to arrange like a 5-minute meeting and be like, hey, I can really encourage them, right? But I can't make them do it.
And do you have flyers, like at the Brain Center, for example, for clinicians to refer their clients to?
I don't have
service?
I don't have community facing flyers right now.
Okay.
I wonder if that's something that we could potentially do.
Yeah, I'm sure
yeah.
if like clinicians know that this is a resource at the schools that their clients are going to, then it could be a big asset.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you for the suggestion. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you. I appreciate the.
Any other questions?
I have two.
Counselor Zawadzki?
So I have two questions. One is around the funding and another is around kind of general trends. So my first question is, and Josh, I know you mentioned kind of how this is funded, but is this grant funding that we're expecting to see end at a certain point in time? And does the school pay anything for the contract? So that's one question. And the other question is, I was just wondering, are there particular concerning trends that you see that you can share with us? For example, you see a lot of concerns with social drinking or vaping marijuana, or something in particular that maybe you see quite a bit of that you would like to share with us.
Yeah, definitely. I'll start on the second point first, just because it comes right to mind. And keeping in mind too that it's all self-reported data from the ESPER, right? And so, but just even in my conversations when I'm doing the intervention piece of ESPER, or just even in iDecide, right, and just kind of sharing, like a lot of the infractions that we see at the school tend to stem from vaping. In vaping, I mean, there's been a lot of just kind of self-disclosure as far as students go, just around vaping at younger and younger ages. I find that especially concerning. I know that, when I was younger, cigarettes were a big thing, even when I was like 12 years old. But, just to hear students say that, like, they know somebody that started vaping when they were 6 years old, right? Like, that's a really young age. And that really, I don't know, that gets me going a little bit. I worry greatly around vaping. Whereas like even just marijuana and alcohol, there are not as many self-disclosures around that. Vaping is the one that people most voluntarily say that like they're using. And then to the first point, actually, do you mind reminding me of, sorry, it was about grant fund.
Not at all. So I was just wondering about the funding of it. So is this a grant fund that we're expecting to see expire at a certain point? And then I was also just curious if the school system pays into this program or if it's entirely outside funded.
So I can defer as far as the school, as far as what any payment goes. I'm not sure on the school end, but the grant itself is set to expire for June 2028. But there is hope that we can find additional grants that can support the Youth Wellness Coach model going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Counselor Sapienza?
Yeah, through the chair to Mr. Valuers. I assume there's some level of privacy involved with this as far as between the school department and your services provided to the students.
Yes, there is. Yeah, no, we make sure there's we make sure up ahead of time that there's confidentiality disclosures for all the students, with the exception of like 51A reports, mandated reporting if necessary, if there's like a danger to the student or,
Right.
Somebody else on behalf of the student, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Thank you, Mr. Valuers.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next, we are moving on to new business. Council item 12,560, communication number 10, from Mayor Jennifer A. Maxey requesting for a brief presentation from Myra Kozik, Community Development Director, highlighting current activities within the Community Development Office. Mayor Maxey.
As we continue to bring department heads in, I'm trying every month to bring someone in. I thought it was very important for us to focus on community development. Maria has been doing an excellent job in her role as our new community development director. She's got some really engaging projects going on that I thought it would be important to share with the City Council and the community at large. So I'll turn it over to Maria.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, councilors. This is my presentation on the Office of Community Development and what our team is engaged in. So, as the mayor said, I took on this role from Mike Newvalley, who's still with us in the office. I came on in July, transitioning from the administrative officer role. And, well, not really. William Shanahan, who's with us tonight, is our projects coordinator. I will explain a little bit about the things that we do, but I will say that William is generally in charge of the technical assistance to our boards and committees around planning, conservation, zoning. And he also takes care of many of the technical assistance grants that we have been involved with through Berkshire Regional Planning Commission. And some of those are like for housing production needs, looking at our conservation planning and zoning ordinances, and other types of projects like that. So it's a really big job at the moment. Projects is not just any one thing. He's got plays a lot of roles in the office. Mike is still with us. He is working on some of the special projects that he started. Some of those include a Brownsfield remediation program, tax incentive financing agreements, and there's one or two others, especially related to the community development block grants that he has spearheaded for many years, like roads projects and in particular the senior center. Right now, our team also includes Braden Canales, who's an intern from Drury. He's only been with us a couple of weeks, but I'm really glad to have him. He's very engaging and is digging right into helping us with filing and organizing and kind of creating some community communication items that we need to let people know what the programs are and the processes are within the office. We are still looking to fill that community planner position. So we are in our last stages of being able to do that. And in our office, we also have an assistant who functions as our compliance officer for all of our grants and does billing and things like that. So just for the public's knowledge, since this is a presentation that is broadcast everywhere, I'll remind people of what the purpose and goals are of community development. So this office is charged with planning and implementing initiatives that foster a thriving community through looking at our physical environment, our social health, and our economic development. So I've put those into 3 boxes on this slide, and I'd just like to identify a few of the things that we do in each category. So when we talk about the physical environment, that means our land use planning and development. So that's looking at where we situate businesses, where our certain development districts are, where we're looking at projects for housing or open space. This also includes preservation of buildings or taking care of blighted spaces, and also infrastructure improvements. So that's working in tandem with other departments, particularly the Department of Public Works, to address water and sewers, roads and sidewalk infrastructure. The social component looks at improving living conditions in the community. So how do we do that? We can do that through affordable housing initiatives, direct programs to residents. One of the ones that I know that has been touted before was like the Own Your Own Home program, housing rehab programs. There are also projects like the Senior Center that addresses quality of life for seniors, community centers, community youth programming, and some other health and safety initiatives that we have going. For example, through the CDBG program, every other year we try to put out a social services component where we invite those agencies to ask for funding to support their programming. Some of those are childcare programs, after-school youth development, the heating oil program, food security. So that is also where we put some of our resources. And finally, the economic development portion. So these are things that we, of course, always trying to attract businesses to the community to provide for jobs for our residents, to work with the current businesses who exist to help them grow. And we do that through a variety of ways, some of which is permitting and making those processes easier, as well as developing tax incentives and helping them find resources to grow. And also, we do things to promote the arts and culture and recreational elements that bring guests and tourists and economic benefits to our community here. I've titled this slide Our Approach. So really, this is most of the tasks that our office is charged with. Pretty much you could find these directly in the ordinances. We are coordinating activities and providing technical assistance for the boards, as I said, Planning, Zoning, Conservation Commission, and really any other department that may need some assistance in carrying out their charges. We apply for and manage grants. The primary one that people are familiar with is the Community Development Block Grant. We are a mini entitlement community, and so we generally have been getting funded every year with a specific amount, usually to the tune of around $900,000. We conduct studies and needs assessments to be able to plan our projects. We analyze and interpret the data that comes out of those studies, and we manage programs based on that information. We are communicating with, we are collaborating with our community organizations. One of our strongest ones right now is with the North Adams Partnership. They're really great on the ground and enhancing the work of our staff. And other organizations include Berkshire Regional Planning, Berkshire Regional Transit Authority. We are involved in their committees and decision-making bodies for the entire county. So we represent North Adams in that capacity. And my last two is that we are directing business development efforts. So some of those are, again, incentivized programs, or if we get grants, we can do mini grants into the community. And we're also looking at developing marketing strategies. Again, the whole like Discover North Adams type tourism. We are involved in that, collaborating with our partners who manage that aspect. Next, yeah. So what I would like to, the purpose of this was to give you kind of an update on what the projects are. I have 3 entire slides, and I'm not even sure that I captured every single project that we are currently doing, certainly not all of the ones that have been implemented in the past. But back to our, my 3 phases of physical, social, and economic development. In the physical realm, some of the projects that we currently have going on, one of them has been going on for a while. Mike Nuvali had spearheaded this several years ago. It's the Complete Streets program, and we are looking at the Ashland Street corridor improvements. In that particular project, at the phase that we are at, is planning the right-of-way and eminent domain pieces that we will need from properties along that corridor to be able to expand the road and sidewalks. We are currently engaged in a we were engaged in a brownfields inventory. That actually was one of those projects that William was working on with Berkshire Regional Planning Commission, and they gave us technical assistance to help assess the properties in the community that are potentially contaminated. Again, this is not to my credit, but to Mike Nuvali and his team at the time. There is a remediation project going on for $1.9 million in EPA funding to remediate the Hyde Hill over at the Blackington area, Ashton Ave. I'm sorry, wrong street, wrong project. But the Hyde Hill where the tannery was. So there is contamination there. It's too close to the river. We would like to remove it. And that is working in tandem with tourists who has property in that adjacent area. Downtown infrastructure improvements. This is one of the one-stops that we were awarded last year, and we're beginning to put out the RFP for the engineering and design that will look at infrastructure improvements on Main, Eagle, and Marshall Streets. This is in anticipation of what we hope to be mixed-use development downtown. If we're going to have apartments and additional businesses downtown, restaurants, we want to make sure that the water and sewer and the other infrastructure needs that are currently underground are functioning and will be able to withstand the additional capacity that we hope to engage in the downtown. One of our projects that we are finishing up that you know is the Library Belvedere restoration. This lends to the improvement of the physical environment by improving that historic treasure that we have. Another project, MassWorks project. This is a roads and sidewalks project that was to the tune of $800,000. That was in tandem with another project at the same time. I think everybody has been a little bit frustrated over the summer with paving that was happening, but what we're going to have are some improvements to the neighborhood, improvements in terms of the sidewalks and the roads. And by bringing up that, by improving the status of those within a community, it encourages the rest of the community to bring itself up. So that is the piece that is in the public realm that we can do, and then we hope that that will, address the livability and the social issues in the areas to improve it for residents, and then also spur further investment by residents there. CDGB also provides for some funding for demolition of blighted properties. We haven't done that in a couple of years, but I'm looking to include that again in the next round of CDBG funding. We have to remember that these tend to be very old and also contaminated properties that we may or may not have actually inherited. And so taking down a building can be upwards of $100,000. Finally, addressing the physical environment, as I had mentioned before, planning, zoning, permitting. William is also responsible for the short-term rentals and making sure that those are working in tandem with the building department, code enforcement, making sure that they're safe, and keeping track of those, the applications and the permits so that we have a revenue stream. My projects for the social environment, I would like to review. You know that Mike had been working on the Spitzer Center improvements for some time. This is the final phase of that, and this year it's $120,000 that was allocated in the CDBG program, but there was many hundreds of $1,000s more in previous years. Within CDBG, we also do mini grants for social services programs, as I had mentioned. We did do an RFP recently, and we are looking to make awards that will be contingent on us getting the next round of CDBG funding. So what we do is we ask the community for suggestions, we vet those, choose a few, and then we write those into our grant and hope that the state says, yes, we support that and we will fund that. Another program that addresses community engagement, and this is a new one and really great. We got a MOT grant for Heritage State Park to put in a bandstand. And so we're hoping that while we don't have a lot of tenants there, this will begin to re-engage the community in that property. So we hope to purchase a bandstand and do a series of concerts beginning this summer. The Own Your Own Home program is still going. So we still have people that are benefiting from those mortgages that probably, I think about 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, we had started. And so people are able to, those were some low interest loans. There may be an opportunity again for that in the future, and other rehab. Our Community Development Office also addresses transportation, mobility, and accessibility issues. Another of the BRPC technical assistance grants that William was managing was the ADA assessment. So that report has come back. It's been shared with all the departments. So we are helping to coordinate different departments addressing the issues that were identified. But in particular for community development, it's looking at our parks and making sure that those are accessible to people and that they are safe for kids and other people to be in. Climate resiliency and energy conservation. This may seem relatively new. I know we all talk about global warming, but clearly we have seen the effects of the changes in the weather in our community. We tend to think about water and the flood chutes, but another piece of that is extreme heat. And we have had that very much in the summer. We have, I would say, too much concrete in the city. We don't have enough green space in our downtown. So a couple of projects that we have to address this. You know that the city has been involved in the Hoosick flood chute study. In working in tandem with that, we have another grant called the Municipal Vulnerability Program grant. And that has been funding a project called Gray to Green, turning concrete into green spaces. It's been a community-led, citizen-led effort with citizens doing their own neighborhood audits to give feedback on what their community looks like, what their neighborhood looks like, and proposing projects that we might be able to undertake to mitigate some of the issues that we're seeing. Another piece, again, adjacent to the Hoosick flood chute study through that grant was there was some funding that went to Hoosick River Revival, and they engaged a consultant who helped do some placemaking work to look at how can we engage the community in other green spaces and connect them to the river. And as you know, I think it was December, 2 months ago, they gave a presentation on what that concept is. And finally, this Municipal Vulnerability Program grant also is looking at the Beaver Street Dam removal. So this is a dam that's up on that Beaver Street Bridge. It's on Eric Rudd's property. He actually owns it in the river. It's as you go up towards Natural Bridge. But if you look at that, pretty much the dam is completely decimated. So rather than just wait for something to happen, we are addressing it and looking at how we might be able to remove that safely to mitigate any further flooding, should it go by itself. And this week, I think it was just yesterday, the governor announced, and there will be a community announcement in a couple weeks, that we have been approved with our neighboring towns to move ahead with the MVP 2.0 program. That award was for $325,000. It was with Adams, Lanesboro, and Williamstown. And we are all going to engage a consultant together, and each community will receive $50,000 to implement a seed project. That is, again, it's a community-led effort to look at climate resiliency, sustainability, something in their community that deals with these issues. And one more thing that addresses the climate resiliency and energy conservation is our Green Communities grant. In the past, we've had some grants through Mass Saves and Green Communities that have been able to fund EV chargers, and we have done building energy efficiency improvements like weatherization in City Hall and some lighting, changing out bulbs into LEDs to improve both the environment that people live in and the climate and the world's environment that we live in by addressing these environmental issues. So, one more page, still more projects. These are the projects that I think are focused on economic development specifically. Our community has, as you know, had received a cultural district designation downtown, which identified a walking area in our downtown, and we receive right now $15,000 a year to help do promotion of that. Some of those activities have been promotion of Art Week in working with the other 4 cultural districts in the Berkshire area. And we have funded some smaller projects with artists and First Friday programming. Again, with economic development, the North Adams Redevelopment Authority works closely with the city and with our department in particular around the Heritage State Park development. This year, we received a pre-development grant for $250,000 to do architectural design that focuses on how we can fix basically the clapboards, windows, and doors of the buildings at HSP. That is not a construction grant. It's merely a let's do an assessment and find out what are the things that we need to move forward with. We have also commissioned a market study to look at what is the new idea for Heritage State Park. If we're looking at the rest of the community, what's thriving, what is thriving, why are businesses coming here, what sort of look do we want that to have? Similarly, Mohawk Theater, there is also another study for that venue, which is to look at business models. So if the city is to keep that and wants to move forward with its reintroduction as a theater, then how has it been sustainable in other communities? We know that neighboring communities, like there's in Northampton and Springfield, they have community models. So we are looking not to create the wheel, but what has worked and what hasn't and what we might do here. Let's see, some other projects. We have raked in quite a bit of money in grants. So there's a $1.97 million grant that is focused on the Blackington Mill, and it's an infrastructure project. It has addressed water, sewer, and it's addressing a parking lot right now. So that's very exciting. The city owns the property, but it's working again in tandem with tourists that expects to do a manufacturing plant in that mill. The Adventure Trail and Bike Path currently still on our radar. The city has a $1 million earmark to begin, or to continue, I should say, the advancement of the Protection Ave to Brown Ave portion of that. We are also working with BRPC, who secured the $17 million to move forward with the rest of the design for the bike path to extend through North Adams from Williamstown to Adams. You know that the Route 2 overpass study has commenced and completed. That was a $750,000 grant. We're very excited about how we can use that information to move forward. I don't have any other monetary amounts that I can put towards projects, but I can say that we are looking at all of the intersections that they suggested, as well as the community green space improvements that they had, to see if there are any grants that we can get to further flesh out those concepts into design, and then hopefully have a path forward to actual construction and implementation. Housing development as an economic development generator. One of the things that if we intend to attract, it's sort of a chicken and egg. We want to attract business, but we need to have workers, and workers want to have somewhere to live when they're working here. So we are actively looking at municipal properties that could potentially be sold for workforce housing. Also, in other ideas, senior housing, affordable housing, of course. I listed the AHT, your new Affordable House Trust Fund. So we expect to be working closely with that, with the Board of Trustees. Housing is not something that we haven't done. 40R, the overlay district, is one of the things that came forward that the City Council had put through, and we are still looking to try to find a collaborator on to do some downtown business district mixed-use development that brings some housing there. We are also working with BRPC this year, looking at a technical assistance grant to further the work of our housing assessment, needs assessment that we had done. The next step is a housing production plan. And again, I think that the new Affordable Housing Trust, that will be a great project, and their input will be highly valued in doing that work. Along with this housing element, we are doing a municipal property inventory. Working with the North Adams Partnership, Jenny Wright and I realized that we did not have, we were very envious, I should say, of when Mass Development puts out this little booklet that kind of says, here's a picture of this site, and here's all the information. And we said, you know what, that's what we need for North Adams. So we began thinking about properties for business development, but then we realized there are so many other partners in the community that are looking at the same thing. So we're trying to do a really big project of looking at all municipal property that is owned by the city, but also within the city limits that is not owned by the city. And why is it not moving? And what is it? And how can we connect either developers or private individuals to move this and get it back on the tax rolls? That is a project that has since been picked up on by Berkshire Regional Planning Commission, so they will be offering us support. And One Berkshire is also revamping their website, and they have always had a commercial, like a real estate piece where you could look for commercial properties. So all four of us are collaboratively working on moving that forward. And finally, another thing that our department does is help facilitate tax incentives. Of course, we have worked in the past individually with the mayor's office to create tax incentive financing agreements, which of course have come to the council for your approval. But we work with the business owner to flesh something out, create a schedule for that. And this year we were also awarded a $50,000 grant to put towards a vacant storefront program, which is being run in collaboration again with the North Adams Partnership. And that is really to take any vacant storefront that's been vacant for 6 months or more and offer a refundable tax credit to someone that decides to turn it around. So, so that there's funding for that, and it's no cost to the city, and it gives the developer a tax break. And I think I'm done. That's a lot. It's kind of in a nutshell, but I didn't want to take up too much time. I'm open to any questions, and if there are certain programs that you're interested in, I'm sure through the mayor, she can let me know and we could do any presentation on a particular one. But happy to take questions if anyone has them.
Thank you. Questions? Counselor Blackmer.
Through the chair, this is more a comment than a question, and both to Ms. Kozik and to the mayor. What Ms. Kozik's done is great. It's a lot of information in a small amount of space that in your descriptions, I mean, I had written a bunch of questions, which as you described them, you answered them. So I don't have a bunch of questions because you answered them. But this format, this information included in our budget with each department, I think would be really helpful and kind of move us toward a GFOA budget format. Obviously, we don't have the bandwidth to have a 260-page document, but if we could add in a couple pages like this for every department, I think it would be really helpful. One, to us, to the public, and to others who might actually be looking at what we're doing. So, thank you. This is a good starting place.
Thank you. Any other questions? Counselor Fitch.
Yep. Comment, big picture question, tiny picture question. Comment, first of all, when I talk about communication, like just wanting more communication and wanting to see plans and everything, like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you so much. And a suggestion, similar to what Councilor Blackmer said a moment ago, publishing these on our website so other people can find these too, I think would be lovely if that's an option for you. And the big picture question is, what can the council do in this next budget season, for example, to help you with all of this? This is a lot for two people and an intern, I imagine.
It is at the moment. That's really something that I'm not prepared to speak about at the moment in this forum. Of course, it's a discussion that I've been having with the mayor in looking at the strategic development of that office and what is needed, and bringing in the new community planner. And again, we have an opportunity to kind of look at that at the administrative assistant fiscal officer piece. So I think mostly right now it's staffing, and it's just addressing the capacity of the office.
Cool, thank you. And the little picture question is, you mentioned the senior center.
Yeah.
I saw a picture not too long ago of its porch having
Yes.
a tree fallen on it.
Yes, very sad.
Yeah, does that
So-
delay the project at all, or?
It just means we can't close out the project because we can't prove that we have a completed project, because right before we were closing it out, we had the tree fall through the deck. So we're going back to the drawing board and having that repaired. Of course, that's kind of an insurance issue, so we don't really need to pay for it again, but before we close out the grant, yes.
Thank you.
Mayor Maxey.
If I could just speak to Councilor Fitch's comment about, communicating more. I hear you all on that. And as these projects evolve, we hope to create a page on our website. So just with little updates, for example, the Walnut Street wall, I'll use as an example. Walnut Street bid package available. Construction date, things like that. We hope to develop that. But again, that takes time, right? And it takes resources. And so we're working to find that balance. Also, Maria has been doing a fantastic job, as well as William. Mike laid the foundation, and they've really just taken that foundation and are growing it, which is excellent. And I can't say enough how happy I am with both of them. But you also have to remember that these projects just don't involve two people. For those of you who've been in my office, you see the war room and the big whiteboard. We come together as a team and we talk about regularly what we need, how we need to focus on the capital plan and hitting some of those targets. Virginia, I hear you. But as a team, we come together. But you also have to remember, then that rolls out and it becomes an auditing, a grant management, a procurement issue, a procurement project, a treasury. So it is a team effort, but Maria's doing a fantastic job leading the team. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And we
Couns-
are having sound problems.
We are having sound problems on TV, so please tune in to YouTube if you are having problems at home on television. And we hope to resolve those in the near future. as we continue to work those out with the TV station. Any other questions? Councilor McCarron?
Yes, through the chair. Maria, I just have a small question as how you would through Councilor Fritz. On the projects addressing the physical environment, I just need a clarification question. On the brownfields inventory, how large is that inventory, or what is on, I know there are some sites that you're identifying. How many sites are there?
Is there 80, William?
Probably more, but.
Yeah, I think between 80 and 100 parcels, but that's parcels, so some,
Put back into productive use?
yes and no. So that brownfields inventory, a lot of them are suspected.
Suspected, okay.
So, because maybe something adjacent, or we know that there was a mill there that did X, Y, and Z, and so there might be stuff there.
Okay, so some of
So-
them may be like waste, could have
Yes,
been waste disposal,
yes.
so.
I mean, the
okay.
city properties we know some of them, and we have gotten, a certain way down the path. So for example, like the Windsor Mill.
Yeah.
We have a phase 1 assessment, we are doing some monitoring. We have to stay in compliance with the DEP. So again, it's those long-term projects, then you would do a phase 2. We don't know what's in the building itself. So that's another type of assessment, like an actual building hazmat assessment. That goes for all of the same properties, just people that have abandoned buildings that we're looking to take down. It would be easy to take down a building maybe at 100,000, but when you have to do a hazmat assessment on that site and whether or not it has asbestos. So it's more like an inventory of identification, basically on several levels. Maybe, we know, but we don't know how far, and then the really bad ones. And each one has a plan.
Thank you, and thank you for this presentation.
Sure.
Very helpful.
And if I could just reiterate, when we say that we have a large number of properties on the list, again, they've been identified. They haven't been determined to be. Some are further along than others, but again, it's just more identification
It's a process.
and awareness, and that's what we're working on. No pun intended, cleaning up.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor McDonald?
Yeah, thank you for this. This is a lot of information. It's also a lot for your group of people to be doing yearly. But my questions are regarding infrastructure. If community members see that roads need to be salted or there's potholes, or is there a way on the website for people to be able to share and identify these areas that aren't on main roads?
Yeah, so currently we don't have like a click and go button. We're working on that.
Okay.
I would advise everyone to email the DPW or to call them at 413-662-3157, or you can simply call into Lindsay in the mayor's office and express those. We put them in an Excel spreadsheet and track them. But the best way is just to call into the DPW or the Public Service Department. But we're getting there, Alexa.
No, I appreciate it. I'm sure it's hard to keep track of, and just wondering if there's a system in place. So
Well,
thank
and
you.
I might also mention that, like, for example, the CDBG grant, there are public hearings at the beginning and the end of the opening of each of those grants. So we have to present to the community what we're doing, we have to look for feedback, and then at the end of it, we have to say what we did, and whether or not, and ask the community, did you feel those effects? Was there good or bad about it? So that's one tenet of the CDBG program, is that kind of community communication and involvement. They are published just like any other notice in the Eagle, and on the website and in City Hall, on the boards, and generally that runs the same for most of these other community type grants. MVP, Greater Green, there is a call for community action, and if people would like to be involved, we can connect you with the right people. My staff does not always run those events. We generally tend to hire a consultant that specializes in that area, and they run the programs, but they are community-led initiatives.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking with all the snow that we've been getting and potholes arising, and I'm sure there's plenty of side streets that I've seen that could use a good salting, but that's not that anyone, there's so much going on that it seems like it would be great for that. I'm glad that it's a project that's being worked on that can be on our website eventually. And I have one more question, if that's all right. You have so many projects going on. Do you ever get interns from MCLA or Williams to work on specific projects? For example, with if you had someone who's very passionate about utilizing more green spaces around the downtown area, do you ever have interns that can specifically work on one of these many projects?
I'm relatively new to the position. I was excited to have our first intern. I have to say that while that sort of involvement is great, we have to remember that it also adds another layer of management and supervision. So, so that also becomes a capacity issue within the office. So when there is a particular project, like Greater Green, I would certainly encourage students that are interested in that to connect with those folks. Because again, those are community-generated projects, and there are other opportunities that we do have. I know that, for example, Hoosick Revival has utilized Williams College students for some of their studies that again inform the work that we're doing. So there are connections that we can make. So if anybody's interested, they can certainly get a hold of me, and I'll point them in the right direction if I can't utilize them in the office.
And Councilor McDonald, just to let you know, and the whole council, William is a prodigy of an MCLA intern. He interned with us for a year. Tommy Peterson, again, graduate of the University of Vermont. We also have a McCann intern that is working with us. We are always looking to engage the youth in municipal government. So I say if you know of someone or there is an interest to reach out to us. We've been working closely with the MCLA Career Services department in the internship program. So again, we always want to engage with the youth, but it is sometimes a capacity thing, and we can only take so many people at so many times because we want enrichment. We just don't want them sitting there. We want enrichment and to be an active participant in our projects.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the insight.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have one question.
Councilor Zavatsky.
Yes, thank you. So this is a great presentation. I really enjoyed hearing kind of the framing and all the different projects that are going on. I latched on to the intern from Drury that you had mentioned, Braden Canales, who's working on creating communications. And it's something that we've been talking about tonight and in previous times about how nice it is for the public and for us to hear about the projects that are being worked on. So I was just wondering if you could share a little bit more about what he's working on. Is it mostly website updates, or are there flyers? Like, what sort of communications are we expecting from that project?
I expect that I will be able to post something on the website. The first project that I've asked him to work on is looking at inclusionary zoning. I'm sure that, and I apologize that probably some of the language that I used in my presentation is not familiar to everyone. I mean, I'm living, breathing, eating it, all of that, and not everyone understands that. But I think that translates as well to something like, what is inclusionary zoning, and how does that help our community providing affordable housing options? So his first task is to identify what that is, identify the things in the community that we are already doing. So it's not that we don't have inclusionary zoning practices, we do. They are just termed differently. And then identifying what those are, how they are utilized in other communities, so that we can have a jumping off point for a discussion as we move forward to address the affordable housing issue. And when people want to talk about a particular strategy that can be used to address that. So I'm asking him right now to basically create a one-page flyer that can identify that, so we can kind of have like a little library of, what's this? Identify it, tell me what the things are that we do in our community, and certainly when he produces that, I will try to put it on our website. But I think IT is also looking at a complete revamp, because we can do that every 5 years or something with our website, and we really need those features to make it more navigable. But yes, both ways, website and hard copy.
wonderful. Thank you so much. And just as a counselor, it's always nice to, when I was a member of the public too, it's nice to see kind of young people present to the city council. So if he's interested in presenting, or I think that would be a great opportunity. I for one would love that. Just if that's of interest.
Great.
I think it's a way for.
Yeah, I would love to have him do that when we have a product. I too think it's important for people to be able to showcase their contributions.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? My turn. First, thank you so much for this presentation. This once again proves what we've been saying for a few years now. The Community Development Office pays for itself over and over and over again with all the grants and all the funding that it gets, that we're not taking money out of the city budget for many of these projects. So the continued investment in that office is so important, and I hope to see more of that during the budget season. I want to reiterate that I agree with Councillor Blackmer and Councillor Fitch about this being very helpful for the budget and this kind of presentation being part of the budget process. It's important that we know where our funding comes from for these projects when it's not coming from the budget ahead of time. It's important for us to have a good understanding of where we're lacking in grant funding, that we might need funds from the budget to help cover or work into these so that we can solve problems and continue the development of our city. So getting this information, especially now in the process, is wonderful, and I hope we continue to get more information like this from our other departments before we start the budget season. But this was amazing. Thank you so much for putting this together. I'm sure there's so much information, more information that you could potentially share, but it would overwhelm most people. So I look forward to touching base with you in the office and the mayor about getting some more of that information at another time. But I can't wait to see the continued updates on these projects and where we go from here. It's very exciting. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none. Committee reports and minutes. We have none. We have no licenses on the agenda. Open forum. This is a proud opportunity for the public to speak to the council for 2 minutes on issues of municipal significance. As a reminder, we will start the clock. It'll count you in, and then it'll signal to you when your time has ended. As a courtesy, I also ask that all parties refrain from any personal attacks. Would anybody like to speak for open forum? Mr. Valyers, please step up to the microphone.
Good evening,
Watch
everyone.
the clock. Start when it counts you in.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Valyers. I live at 211 Protection Ave. I'm here to speak on matters of municipal significance, particularly the agenda item, regarding open forum and hearing of visitors. Maybe I'm just being a little nitpicky, but I almost feel that in terms of the rules of order around providing addresses for members of the public to speak on these items, it almost feels archaic to me. And again, like I said, I might be a little nitpicky about this, but I've seen members of the communities of Adams come up to speak before, Pittsfield. I've never seen them turned away. So I don't know. It almost feels, a little out of date. I don't know if there's any state law governing it. I've looked into it a little bit, very minimal research done so far. But it was just one thing that I thought of recently, and just in an era of increasing lack of privacy with the internet, having information, publicly identifiable information like that being strewn about in the internet, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. I'm happy to, I know that you can't answer anything right now, but I'm happy to speak with any of you individually in terms of how to rework potentially the hearing of visitors and open forum. But yeah, that's my piece. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once, twice. Okay. Mayor's updates. Mayor Maxey, do you have any updates?
I do. Just give me one quick minute to get organized. To breathe. Just a friendly reminder, the transfer station will be closed on Tuesday, February 17th. That's the day after Patriots' Day. We will be closed at the transfer station. On your tables tonight, I left you a listing of all of our tentatively scheduled city events, so you can put those on your calendar. I will send you an electronic version. I know some of you often tell me that things sneak up on you and you don't have them on your calendar until I announce them at council. So I thought this would be a good tool to help you pick out your events that you'd love to attend, and we'd love to have you. Also, I'm very excited, and I hope some of you can join me tomorrow night. We are starting and hosting the first game 1 for the boys and girls basketball teams at Drury High School. Girls tip off at, I believe, 5:30 with the boys at 7:15. It is an honor to be hosting the first round and to have our teams playing in it. On Saturday, Valentine's Day, we will be celebrating our annual Winter Fest. The event will be from 9 to 3 in the downtown. Please come down and join us. And also on your tables tonight was a tentative fiscal year 26 budget timeline. We will talk more in depth about the timeline with the Finance Committee. I am trying to work with Councilor Blackmer in moving up the timeline so we're not crunching the end of May, early June. So more to come on that, but I just kind of wanted to map it out for you so you could see what will be coming at you and when. Most likely, the Finance Committee meeting will be moved toward the end of February, early March, depending on availability of counselors. But I just wanted to put that out there for you. I'm sorry about my voice. Exciting news on the horizon. First of all, Tom Peterson, as you know, was hired back in September to do grants and procurement. He has now passed the MCPPO certification as an associate member. So congratulations to Tom for getting that designation. And I'm pleased to share he's completed his first bid. We opened our bids for the spring Chapter 90 roadwork program, which will cover the paving of Ashton, Davidson, Rickert, Church, Barth, Montgomery, Bliss, and South. Believe it or not, we received 7 bids, which was a very strong response, which allowed us to confidently move forward with the award in the amount of $470,000 to LB Corporation of Lee. We are scheduling a pre-construction meeting, and we will roll out more data and information to the residents as we get closer to construction. But I just wanted to congratulate Tommy on his certification as well as a successful bid. So that's all I have for tonight, folks.
Thank you. Liaison updates, counselor updates.
Updates, concerns?
Counselor Vetch.
Yeah, just a couple additional community events that I thought were worth mentioning. The North Adams Chamber of Commerce produces a monthly meetup. It's a Northern Berkshire meetup. It's this Wednesday, February 18th from 6 to 9 at the Revival House in Adams. But I thought it was probably worth mentioning because North Adams businesses will be in attendance as well. And then also my friend Desiree Taylor, is producing a talk called Hope in History. Storyteller and scholar Desiree Taylor at the North Adams Public Library on Saturday, the 21st of February from 11 to 2.
Thank you. Counselor Blackmer.
I'm actually a little late on this announcement, but my yearly plea, bring your pets in. It's been ridiculously cold. Also, if you're putting salt down to melt to cover ice, make sure that you wipe your pet's feet off so that they don't get sick or damaged. Again, I can't believe that people would have been leaving pets out in the temperatures that we've had, and this year has been particularly bad. And then my other pet peeve is clean off your car. Clean off your brake lights, clean off your headlights, because if they can't see you coming, you can get hit and it can be bad. Also, I know I've heard people complaining about ice flying off the roof and into their windshield. So,
Back camera.
oh, and the back camera. Yeah, that's always helpful. But that, and also, I know I'm short. I have a hard time cleaning off mine. I get a big broom. So the excuse that you can't reach the top, if the mayor and I can get our cars cleaned off, anybody can.
She threw you under the bus. She threw you under the bus.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have an update.
Counselor Zawadzki.
So I just wanted to update, I thought it was appropriate to update about the Public Services Commission. I know the commission updates were a little while ago, but the Public Services Commission met last week, and we discussed the Berkshire Gas proposed rate hikes, which would be an average rate hike of 21% for people's gas bills starting in October if it goes through. The entirety of the Public Services Commission, so Councilor Breen, Councilor McCarron, and I went down to Berkshire Community College last Thursday to speak about our concerns regarding the rate hike. And while we were there, the Berkshire delegation, so including Senator Paul Marks and Representative John Barrett, spoke in opposition to that rate hike as well. So if people are concerned about their gas bills going up 20%, 21% or more, they can write a letter to the Department of Public Utilities before February 27th at 5 p.m. There's 3 different emails that can receive that information, and it just probably easiest to Google it rather than me sharing the emails, but people can share their concerns or support if they'd like. And the Public Services Commission, it's on our agenda. We're meeting this Thursday. We'll be drafting a letter regarding our concerns with the rate hike that I think we anticipate bringing to the whole council during the next meeting. So I just wanted to flag those items. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor?
Councilor Zawadzki, if you'd like to send us a little blurb, or maybe we can attach the letter, we'd be happy to share that information on our Facebook page, the City Hall Facebook page.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Also, if you can email in those email addresses, we can get those posted on the website so people know exactly what to communicate. We have the letter, the original letter on our website already. So you can go to North Adams' website and you can find the original letter with all of the information on where to send your letters if you are opposed. And I strongly recommend, if you're opposed to gas rate hikes, that you write a letter. Anyone else? Councilor Bono.
Yeah, through the chair to the mayor. I know beginning of the snow season, it was expressed that the city would be going out and giving letters or fines to sidewalks that are not plowed or shoveled. And I still see and I look mostly at our main routes, you know. I mean, I know we have hundreds of side streets, but I look at like Eagle and West Main and East Main and Church and Ashland, which, you know, those are the ones that I feel like probably get heavily traveled. And there clearly are sidewalks that haven't been touched once, you know, and when you see people having to go in and out and in and out. So how is that going? Have we given out fines yet?
So the police department has been actively ticketing. We've been starting with the warning system and have found with the follow-ups that we've been successful. There are some areas that we are still struggling with. I think they have issued some fines off the top of my head, but I can get you that number. But we've been mostly finding that when we're putting the warnings on and the officers are doing knock and talks, or whatever we call them, it's helping. But if there are areas of specific concern, just shoot me a quick email and I'll send that off to the chief. We as the city are really working hard to get to our abandoned properties. For example, we have an issue right on River Street right now. We own the Sun Cleaners property. We haven't cleared in front of that, and there's a reason for that. We have addressed the Holden Street areas where we own those lots. But if you see something, just shoot me a quick note. But the police department has been out there in force with the warnings, and people are either addressing it or looking for help, and we've been able to help some people.
How are we approaching, so like one that comes to mind is the abandoned gas station that's at the corner of Canal and Eagle, you know, and I know a little corner, I think the city maybe shoveled where the hydrant
Yeah.
is, but if there's no one living there, and where's that ticket going? you
So
know?
it's not so much that those people are getting phone calls or a written letter. I don't think we've really issued a lot of written letters, but we've talked about that for the absentee landlords. Sometimes we ticket a tenement house and they come out and they say, hey, we're not responsible for that, our landlord is. And if we can get a good phone number and get a hold of them, that's what we're running down. So there's been a lot of phone work going on between the police department and the building department. And we have seen a positive result. But there still are some areas we need to work on, and we're doing the best we can. We've had a lot of snow. We've had a lot of snow. But my mother has the cleanest sidewalk in North Adams, just to point that out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor McCarron?
Through the chair to the mayor. Mayor Maxey, how are we helping the people that cannot shovel? Because I've gone, driving to work every day, I've seen quite a few, and some of them I know can, but I know some of them can't. How
So
are we
if-
helping them?
If people come in and they say, two things, if they call and they say, look, I can't do the shoveling, could you give us some people that you know that could do it, and they're willing to pay, that's fine. We also have some people who have volunteered. We really want to roll out the Angel program that's similar to Pittsfield, but we're going back and forth with the insurance company on some liability things.
Yeah.
And we've known to have staff after 4:30 just go up and help that little old lady on Walker Street shovel her sidewalk. So I think we're building a little bit of a community around it, but it's hard. It's hard.
I've noticed neighbors helping neighbors,
Yeah.
you know, going out with their snow plows and all
That's
that.
what it's,
but
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
But I know, I mean, I've driven by some that I know can get out there and do
Yeah.
it and just are not
It's tough,
doing it, so.
and believe it or not, we were pushing a lot of snow, and the plow drivers are trying to be really sensitive to not what's the word? Help me there.
Barriers.
They're burying everyone in at the bottom of their driveways, but we gotta get the snow off the road. And it's frustrating for the drivers as well, because they see those people out there shoveling, plowing their driveways, and then they come back and the bottom's full again. So we're trying to be really sensitive to that. But if people need help, they've gotta ask for it. But we're not gonna enable people. So if you're healthy and you can get off your couch and stop playing video games, you can go shovel.
Thank you.
Counselor Breen?
I think it should be a shout out for the firemen. They were all over the city, you know, in this cold weather, doing the fire hydrants and that. They did a really, really good job. Everywhere you look, they were working.
They're working really hard on that. I mean, we recognize that we ask people to adopt a fire hydrant, but again, we've had some heavy snow and it's hard. So the team has really been out there. And I think as a public safety entity with public services, they've been doing a really good job monitoring all these snows and nuisance snowstorms, et cetera, like we're having probably right now.
Nice.
Anyone else? Counselor McDonald?
Yeah, to go off what Counselor Bono was saying, if we have community members coming to us about where sidewalks that aren't being done, should we direct them to your office or should they be directed somewhere else?
No, send them right to me, then I
Right.
can keep a pulse on them.
Perfect, thank you.
Anyone else for liaison updates, counselor updates? Seeing none. City clerk updates? No updates from the city clerk. We have no correspondence. A motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Counselor Blackmer, second by Counselor Sapienza. This will be a roll call vote.
Blackmer,
Yes.
Bono,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Sapienza,
Yes.
Zavatsky,
Yes.
Shade.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.